was never really a sit down, hey, this is what happened, admitting it and accepting it and those kinds of things, which to me, that would be the way to handle something like that. Because just as an adult now and as a person, teacher cares very much for kids and their development, especially when it comes to, their emotional development in regards to trauma. I think it's not that so much that trauma is this terrible, terrible thing. It is definitely not a good thing, but it's these things happen. Mm-hmm. Terrible things happen. I would hope in the future for children to have someone to talk about this thing, almost as if just openly talk about, hey, this is what happened. We messed up. This is this. I'm struggling with this. I feel like those things would have been something I would have appreciated then. I was 9, I believe. So whatever grade that would be, like 4th grade or something. We had been in that house for about 2 years, and it was a nice home. It was a house that was, I guess, foreclosed. I didn't know anything. So it was literally, we were living in this house. My dad had lost his job at some point, doing some not so good things, what he had left and everything. And then so home got kind of rough, just like drugs and that kind of stuff. It was sort of building up to something, but I didn't know that was coming. We just knew it was like, oh, things are stressful right now. We woke up one morning and there was just some person at the door, law something, who said we had to be out by the end of the day. So it was like we took an entire house and put it in a truck like in a day. It was crazy. It was kind of, I almost want to say it was kind of cool, because I could never imagine that happening. Just you're a kid and you're like, what? And then it's all of a sudden you're gone, and it was a lot to process. Like, of course there was a lot of oh no and stress and everything, but that came later. You're just in the middle of just, okay, I'll grab this box and put it over here, so it was a crazy experience. Luckily we stayed with my cousins and took us in. We stayed there for a couple of days. And then after that, things got really, really challenging. I mean, it's just everybody's feeling some form of shame, some form of embarrassment, and those kinds of things. Because, as a child, I didn't know where we were in society. I didn't know where we were financially or anything like that. That was kept from us. Experiencing something like that, you all of a sudden change your identity in a way. You're all of a sudden just, oh, wow, we're not doing so good. All of a sudden everybody knows these things. And everybody was very, very supportive of family-wise. Our parents, it was a really challenging time then. But yeah, and then eventually I believe our grandma helped us have a home for a period of time before we ended up renting from house to house after that. Children are learning to cope with things, and we don't know how they're coping with that. And sometimes it doesn't show itself until much later in their development, where they're doing it inside, but they might seem fine on the outside. In other words, they're walking, they might be eating, they might be playing, they might seem fine on the outside. They know to go through the motions of life and do what's expected of them. But there might be some really challenging questions that they're ignoring, and that could come back on them later, I feel. And that's kind of what I experienced, I think. I think there's a bunch of this distrust, that was kind of bubbling up after a while. Because, and here's the thing too, with this eviction, it's not just one event. There's a bunch. It's the whole series of it all, right? There are plenty of these little moments of unpredictability occurring before, during, and after that you're still having to deal with. You know what I mean? It's not just that, oh, you were evicted. It's like, this is a giant red flag for there's something really challenging going on with this family. Is how I kind of felt. I think I learned to not trust what my dad had to say about something, because he would say one thing and then, where something else would show. And then over time, I think I learned to sort of keep a distance from not getting too close with certain people, and that kind of thing. Not like consciously. There's like this habit, behavior pattern thing that kind of occurs. I think had I've been able to talk about this with somebody, and also not feel alone in this, I think that's a big isolation component. I could have probably worked through that earlier and those kinds of things. And I feel like I've been able to work through a lot of it too, and I still see it every now and again. Very grateful to have experiences that made me who I am, for sure. But I think that was something that I noticed was probably part of all that. As a child, when you're going through something like that, or what I can experience, but I feel like those kinds of experiences can be a little isolating. And I definitely feel like in music, I found a sense of connection when I struggled with that. And especially when I started playing with people, like I felt that sense of connection. And as a child, and I care so much that children maintain a sense of connectedness, with their community, with their world, with their peers, and experience meaningful self-expression, through sound. And my way of doing it just happens to be through music. So if I believed that about, painting or something, I'd be doing it with painting, but it happens to be music. So I feel like, it's really important to foster those things like connection, self-expression, and